Hello, today is the 24th of October 2025. In this video, I'm going to touch on the topic of emotional abuse. But mainly I'm going to speak about my experience that I had yesterday, which wasn't emotional abuse, but it reminded me of the time where I was being emotionally abused. And it's also very suitable because I'm actually writing a short film right now about my experience of emotional abuse. So it was very suitable that that situation happened yesterday and that it reminded me of the past and of that time. But what I mainly want to focus on is the difference of how I handle things that are being said to me, for example. The difference between how I handled it in the past and what I thought in the past, and what I thought now yesterday when that situation very much reminded me of the past. So first I'm going to explain what happened. Basically, if you've known me for longer or seen many of my videos from the past, you probably have heard many stories. Basically, it was my father who emotionally abused me when I was a teenager and I was very depressed. And honestly, I never described it as emotional abuse because I was always telling myself, oh, you're just exaggerating, this might be normal, like maybe so many others are going through this and it's just part of life and part of parenting and part of being a child at home. And I just kind of always told myself, like, I'm probably exaggerating and I'm not allowed to call it emotional abuse because other people might have gone through much worse than I did, so I don't even deserve to call it that. So I used to be really hard on myself, as you can hear, and now, because also one of my Thrive coach who went through the Thrive program with me, she also called it emotional abuse, what I went through. So now I'm kind of allowing myself to call it that, and it doesn't mean that my experience was as bad as other people's experiences might have been. I'm not trying to say mine is the worst or mine was so bad or whatever. Mine was really bad for me, but it doesn't mean it was worse than other people's. So basically, let's get into it. Yesterday, I drove myself and my father into a town that's like 10 minutes from here because we had to collect some money from the credit union. He hasn't been in the car with me for a really long time, actually. I think maybe the last time was about a year ago. And I've been, during that time, been driving a lot. So I have a lot more driving experience now, especially the 6 weeks that I was in Spain recently with my sister. We drove to many different places that were always about an hour away. So I have a lot of more driving experience now, and I've definitely gotten more confident in the car, driving a bit faster than, I used to a year ago where I was only new at driving. But I'm still careful, I still know what I'm doing, and I always only drive the speed that I know I'm comfortable with, and I know that I'm allowed to drive that speed on the road, and I look at the other cars and see what speed they're driving, so I don't want to be way faster than them or slower than them unless I feel more comfortable being slow, of course. But I'm aware of what I'm doing in the car. I don't feel very unsure, and whenever I do, I drive slow and I make sure that I have my eyes wide open and I look at everything around me, and I'm very cautious, and my main priority is always to obviously not put myself or anyone in the car in danger. So I'm always very careful and very aware of what I'm doing, and I wouldn't be doing certain things or driving a certain speed if I wouldn't feel confident driving that speed, and wouldn't, that still doesn't mean obviously that I know like this speed is definitely good and I can handle everything that happens on the road with this speed. Of course I don't know that, but because driving is a bit of like, anytime you go into the car you kind of touch into the unknown world. Like, you don't know what's going to be on the road, So I'm not saying that by the speed that I'm driving or whatever, I know exactly what I'm doing and I know exactly what's going to be on the road, because I don't. But I'm only driving the speed that I know. Like, if something happens, I'm also able to stop, or I'm aware enough, or I don't know, you know, there's always risks you take when you get into the car. It's just like that. So basically, my dad already said to me before we went into the car, okay, I'm gonna see now how good you drive and I'm gonna judge you on it. And then I was kind of laughing at it because I thought it was a joke, and I think at that point he still was kind of joking. So I was just like, no, you're not gonna do that. I'm able to drive, and so on. And then when we went into the car, at first he was talking about my sister, who is a learner driver right now. She's still practicing and obviously is still not perfect at driving and still makes some mistakes, and things can still be a bit smoother while she's driving, for example, the gear changing. So he was kind of talking about that and how it's so important for her to learn how to change gears more smoothly. And then I was like, it's actually not that important right now. Like, on her test, she's not going to get an X just because her gear changing isn't the smoothest. And I was in the car with her a lot and it's smooth enough. So, and I was the one who recently, 2 years ago, still did my test. So I think I kind of know what they're looking out for. And I knew that there's still loads of, space to improve on things, and she doesn't need to be perfect with everything right now. And that she'll learn it over time as well. That's the same thing I learned as time went on. I learned to, change gear more smoothly and other things as well. So I was kind of just saying that to him, and then I just drove and I drove 70 in an 80 kilometer per hour zone. And then he was like, that's way too fast. Drive slower. And he was like, I don't even drive that fast here. And I then kind of giggled at first because I thought he was joking. Like, when he started saying all these things to me, the first few things he said to me, I kind of questioned, is he joking or is he being for real? Because he then went on, and the drive, like I said, was like 10 minutes. And he literally did not stop talking about things that I should improve on, things that I should change, things that I'm not doing good enough, and really catastrophizing, being like, this is so dangerous. Like, the roads are wet and you're driving, 75 in an 80 kilometer zone, and when the roads are wet, and like, you shouldn't be doing that, and you're only a new driver, you don't have enough experience to know that you can control the car when driving like this. And then I was just like saying, I'm looking at the other cars as well, and they're driving as fast as me, if not faster, and they're fine, and the roads weren't even that wet. It had stopped raining, and if it's raining and the roads are really wet, I do drive slower than that, obviously, and only what I'm sure with. And then I test the brakes, and I'm like, if I feel like the car's skidding a bit, obviously I know, okay, slow down then a bit. But at that point, the cars were driving just as fast, if not faster than me, and the car was in my control. I felt very much like I'm controlling the car, I'm not skidding, the roads are safe enough, whatever. And then, like, at the beginning, I was still trying to, like, explain myself, and I was like, this is the way I'm driving. And he was then like, Leona, slow down now. And when there was people on the road, he was like, indicate and drive around them, you have to slow down. And then I first went down in gear before I indicated, which, yes, is technically not the right way to do it, but it's also not that dramatic. And then he was like, because I hadn't indicated right on time, he was like, why didn't you indicate there? You were supposed to indicate. I was like, I was going down in gear. How was I supposed to indicate at the same time? And I knew that there was no cars coming towards me. I knew there was one car further behind me, and I indicated early enough for him to know there was something on the road. Oh my God. And then really, like, this is how it went on the whole time. Oh yeah, and then we were coming around a corner and it was a small bit like uphill, so I was at 65 kilometers per hour in an 80 kilometer per hour zone, and then when we were like at the top of the hill and going like down again a bit, I like sped up a bit because I was like, I'm allowed to drive a bit faster, and then it was a straight road, so I was like, okay, I can drive faster here. And then he was like, see there, you didn't even need to accelerate, you could have just let the car glide. Like, oh my god, like he was trying to mold me into perfection, and I was like really understanding in my mind, oh, now I get where my perfectionism is coming from. Now I get the voice in my head is usually one of your parents' voices, or someone who was really close to you, or like your guardian or whatever. And I was like, my voice, this perfectionism voice, the voice that's beating me up, always trying to make me be perfect, always pointing out my mistakes instead of saying what I'm doing well too, because I was driving very, very well. I was driving safely. I was driving aware. I was driving far enough behind other cars. When there was something on the road, I slowed down. I indicated. When we drove into the town, I obviously drove slower because you're only allowed to drive 50. Oh my god, like, you know, so like I really understood where that came from. And then I just really, like, I couldn't believe that he was saying these things to me and he actually meant it. I really had to question in my mind, like, is he really being for real right now? Is this really happening right now? Or is this a joke? Like, does he actually mean that? And I was, at the beginning, at some point, I was like, look, if you don't feel safe in a car with me, because he was like, I'm getting a bit nervous now. I think that was kind of a joke, but because he was trying to dig at me, he was like, I'm getting a bit nervous now, maybe I'll drive on the way back. I think he was just trying to dig at me. He wasn't actually nervous. Whatever. I was just like, if you don't feel safe in the car with me, then don't get in the car with me. And when I said that, he got a bit angry, because he always gets angry when I say something that's true. So, yeah, I could say so much more. I wish I could remember the other things he said, but I think maybe you get a good enough picture. I was really like, what is going on? Like, there's no way he's being for real. There's just no way. And I really, by the end of it, then didn't say anything, and he went on for at least 2 or 3 minutes really in detail explaining how dangerous it is to drive so fast, especially because I'm still a new-ish driver and don't have enough experience yet. Oh, there's a rainbow outside. Like, really in detail about that. Like, and I just shook my head. He didn't see me, I was just shaking my head the whole time. I just couldn't believe it. And in that moment, like, I handled myself well enough, because in the past that would have been it for me. I would have felt so on the ground, like I was so useless, I was incapable of anything. I would have been scared to get in the car the next time, being like, I'm driving way too dangerously, I shouldn't be on the road. Like, I, you know, would have felt like, oh my god, maybe my dad is completely right and I'm a horrible driver. Or even though he didn't obviously say that, but I would have, by everything that he said, I would have picked up the message that I'm a horrible driver. And yeah, my self-esteem would have been completely low. I would have gone home, or maybe even in that moment would have started crying, feeling so shit about myself. And I would have been so angry at him as well, being like, how the hell can someone talk to someone else that way? Oh, how can someone talk to someone else that way? I couldn't understand it. Even though all these things were also in my mind yesterday, they were a lot less extreme than they would have been in the past. I wasn't completely done, and I wasn't like completely on the ground. But yeah, that's the thing that astonished me then, because I was still really confident in the car. I still drove the way I wanted to drive. I still knew that I'm a very good driver. And this is because every time I drove in Spain now, and every time I was in the car driving, I really processed the fact that when there was a hurdle, I drove well, I drove slow, I did these things, I managed it, and every time we were on a long drive, I was very calm and confident in the car, and I made it to every place we wanted to go to, and all the hurdles that were there, I managed them very well in the car. So I really processed the way I drove and processed that I managed it and that I'm able to drive. And that's why when he said all these things to me yesterday, they didn't completely knock me to the ground, because I knew from all my past experience that I was a very good driver. And now I can say that with confidence, because I proved it to myself so many times now in the past few weeks and months. So that's why I was still very confident in the car. I wasn't doubting myself, being like, oh, should I drive slower now? Is this dangerous? I really didn't have any of those thoughts, because I was still very confident about my driving. I was like, I'm able to drive, I'm able to do this. But what I did think is like, how the hell can he talk to me that way and think that it's okay? Talk about my driving, something that I'm doing this way. Like, how can he talk to me like that and think that it's okay? How can words like that come out of someone's mouth and you actually mean it towards another person? I don't think I could do that. Unless I was really blind, and in that moment I couldn't see how much that could affect the other person, or couldn't see that it's very unhelpful to speak that way. Like, I, in my right mind, could never say that to someone and speak like that to them, especially not in that moment when they're driving. Maybe afterwards I would go to them, be like, I think this is a little dangerous, maybe you can just be a bit more careful here. But everyone needs to deal with their own decisions and the consequences that come with that. So it was also like he was not allowing me to make mistakes. Like, mistakes come with life, come with everything you do, even with driving. And obviously you want to avoid fatal mistakes and really major mistakes. But like small little things, like not indicating at the right time, those things come with driving. And it's okay. Like, all of that is just a learning opportunity, and it helps me become an even better driver. There was really no need for him to say all of that, and he could have said it in such a nicer way, and especially he could have said it in a much more helpful way, because the way he said it and judging me like that was absolutely not necessary and absolutely not helpful whatsoever, and it was not his place to judge me like that at all. I didn't ask for it. I didn't drive just so he could judge me. That's what I said to him as well. I'm not driving just so you can judge me. All of that, like, none of that was helpful whatsoever. The only thing that it could have done and would have done to me in the past was make me scared and make me really insecure. Wouldn't have done anything else for me. So honestly, I had to, when I came home, like, first we were still away for like half an hour or 40 minutes or something, and I drove back, and on the way back he didn't say anything because he was talking to me about other stuff. So he was kind of distracted, I guess, and also there was a tractor in front, so I had to drive slower. I wasn't doubting my driving at all on the way back either. I was just thinking about, wow, this really just happened. He said all those things to me, and I didn't feel great. Like, I mean, who would feel great after that? I didn't feel great, and I think I was slightly beating myself up for the fact that I didn't handle it better, that things he said still affected me slightly. I was like, I want to be that confident already and that strong that when people say these things to me, that they just don't affect me. Like, I don't want them to affect me. I want to be over that already. So I think I was kind of beating myself up a small bit, being like, why couldn't I handle it even better than I did? So that's kind of what made my experience worse, because I was letting his words affect me, and then on top of that I was telling myself I I want to already not let those words affect me. And obviously I'm already so much better than the past, because like I said, in the past, that would have been it for me. I wouldn't have wanted to get into the car with him again, and I would have felt so down about myself for many days afterwards, and I would have completely doubted myself the whole time while driving, and I would have been so mad at him for speaking to me like that and about something I'm doing. Like, I really would have been so mad at him. Like, how dare he really? And yesterday I did have some of those catastrophic thoughts, like, how dare he, and maybe, we're gonna end up in this big argument again, like the past where we don't speak to each other anymore afterwards for months. And I was like, then obviously catastrophizing. I was like, if he continues like that, I won't want to speak to him anymore. And like, how dare he's not allowed to treat me like that. And I was like, now I understand my past self again, and why she hated him so much, and why she separated herself from him, and why she was screaming in pain because of things he said. And yeah. Anyways, so I had some of those very catastrophic thoughts that obviously scared me a bit as well. So yeah, while we were still together for another whatever half an hour or something, the whole time I was kind of obviously not feeling great. The whole time there was something that was bothering me. I did know I would be okay, and I knew that I could handle this. Which in the past I didn't know. I was always like, I can't handle this, I can't take it, I can't blah blah blah. But now I knew I can handle it. I knew I would be fine soon enough. But yeah, anyway, when I came home then and I had a second to myself and was just in my room, I did cry for a bit, and I was just like, this was obviously not a nice experience, and I would like to get to the point where his words don't affect me at all anymore. Yeah, I was then being understanding with myself, like, obviously I would, feel this way. Obviously that's not nice. And obviously if I think the way that I thought, then I would feel sad. If I would think a different way, like, oh, his words don't bother me at all, he doesn't know what he's saying, or like, maybe he knows what he's saying, but that doesn't need to affect me. Like, if I would have thought completely confidently and just not let his words bother me at all, then I wouldn't have been feeling sad. I was feeling sad because of the way I was thinking about certain things, which were already so much better than the past. But yeah, still. And then my mom came into my room at some point asking what was going on, so I explained this to her and how it was extremely unpleasant to drive with Dad. At some point I was just like, I know I'm gonna be fine, and I know I can handle this, but it just scared me a bit because it reminded me of the past, of when he always spoke to me that way. And I was like, so yeah, of course it would scare me, because it was a similar situation to the past. And when he talks like that, you can never win with him. That's why by the end of it, I just didn't say anything anymore. Literally nothing, even though there was loads I could have said, but I didn't say anything, because I know in those moments that he's in, then you can't win with him, and he'll make your life hell, literal hell, if you say anything back to him. So it's better to not bother at all. Like, so yeah, I just said to Mom, like, yeah, I know I'll be fine, and I know I can handle this, but it just scared me because it reminded me of the past. So then I just started crying in front of her as well, and she came over to me and just hugged me, and she suggested I could at some point go to Dad, when I'm calmer, and just say to him, like, it wasn't very nice to drive with you, it was quite unpleasant, so maybe you can not do that anymore while I'm driving, or just don't get into the car with me if you don't feel safe. So yeah, and I knew as well he obviously has the catastrophizing thinking style working in his mind in extreme extents, like extreme. I don't think I've met a more catastrophic person in my life than him. Like, and this is because, he has a metaphobia. Well, it's actually the other way around. He has a metaphobia because he has the catastrophic thinking style. So yeah, and he it's gotten better. In the past, it was much worse than that as well, and he was catastrophizing everything. So I knew, like, he has that thinking style, and obviously these are his beliefs. He obviously believes that driving the speed you're allowed to drive as a new driver, when you're very aware, is still dangerous and you could die. So whatever, like, that's his problems, his beliefs, he needs to deal with that, and I don't need to take it on. And I can see if there's any truth in his words, and if there is, then I can see what I want to do with that. And if I don't believe that, and if I don't want to take on anything, then that's okay. Yeah, so Mom just gave me 2 or 3 tips of what I could do. Anyway, that was that then, and I think I wasn't feeling great then the whole day, honestly. I was kind of catastrophizing my own world then as well, and thinking kind of negatively about everything, and yeah, very much like, oh, what if the past happens again? Because like I said, the short film I'm working on is based on basically situations like this. So everything was kind of very catastrophic and very, like, a lot of thoughts and memories and so on. So yeah, I don't know, I was not thinking in a very helpful and good way yesterday. It was quite dark at times, but not in a way that I would be like, my life is so horrible and I want to die. No, just, it was nice, it wasn't pleasant, it was very unhelpful, many unhelpful thoughts, but I knew it was just a moment. I knew it was just the way I was thinking right then. I knew it wouldn't last forever. I know I've had many of those moments before, and I'd get out of it again, and tomorrow's a new day, and every moment is a new moment, and I don't need to think like this, and I'm only feeling this way because of the way I'm thinking. So as soon as I think differently and my mind is distracted, I won't be feeling this way anymore. And as soon as I enjoy things again and I see the lovely things I have in my life, looking at my dog right now, then I won't be thinking this negatively anymore and feeling this negatively. So yeah, I knew it was just a moment and it would pass, but it was still not, nice, which is understandable. Yeah. So I think I'll leave that topic at that now, unless I think of something else. But then the other topic is also in relation to cars, that my sister Amy, like I said, she's practicing driving right now. She has her learner permit, but she's going for her license, and she failed the first driving test. Yeah, I think a big reason for that was because she was quite unbothered to practice driving before her first test. Like, she obviously did all her lessons, but when she was insured in our car, which is very expensive, by the way, and my parents paid for that, she was really unbothered to drive, and every time she drove, she was just like, I don't know, she just gave up. Like, she didn't even try to make things work and really try to focus on learning to drive the car. She was just like, she wanted it over with. And before she went into the car to practice, every single time she was like, oh, I really don't want to, like, I'm really not bothered to, like, why do I have to do this, and all of that, so it's kind of obvious that, if you have that attitude and you're not bothered, then yeah, of course that leads to a bigger possibility of failing. And obviously we didn't say these things to her. We obviously pointed out to her, like, yeah, you didn't practice a lot and you could have practiced more, and she saw that then as well at some point. And then she's now insured again in our car, and this time around she's paying for it, because that was the deal we made with our parents. Like, if they're gonna pay for everything, but if we fail the first test, then from then on we pay for the rest. And it's not because they're like, if you fail, you're a failure and you have to pay for it. No, not that way. We made the deal, we all thought it was fair, and because it's not fair for them to pay that much, like, it's quite a bit of money, and me and Amy both were earning enough to be able to pay for our lessons and for the test. So I didn't fail the first time around though, so I didn't need to pay for anything extra. But yeah, anyway, I don't really know why I went into that so much, but basically it's up to her now, and she's yeah, she said then, before she got insured now, she was like, I'm going to practice any chance I get. I'm going to do this because I'm not failing again. I really want to, you know, do this right now. Like, failing the first time was not a nice feeling, and so on. But then she got insured, and at first, maybe the first 2-3 days, she was like, okay, I'm going to practice now. And anytime we were like, okay, do you want to practice? She was like, yeah. But then now, since the last couple of days again, she's like, I really don't want to, like, I'm so unbothered right now. She always says right now I don't want to, but it's like, no, she says that every day, every time. It's not right now, it's the attitude she has, it's the way she's thinking about it. She always feels like, she always says, I don't want to do something that I don't want to do. So I then picked up on the things she was saying the whole time, and then yesterday, when I was taking time out of my day to practice with her, she again had the same thing. She was like, I'm so unbothered, like, I don't want to do this right now. So I went to her and I was like, yeah, this conversation went on for a long time, and it was mainly one-sided because she only said a few words, and then I kind of gave her suggestions of what she could do. And Dad interrupted in between as well and said his opinion, which was quite unhelpful in many ways, but I then kind of pointed at him like, it's okay, like, I'll do this, just please let me do this by myself instead of always interrupting us. Yeah, I didn't say that to him, but yeah. So basically what I noticed is that she doesn't see a reason for wanting a driver's license or for needing one. And all of it made so much sense then, because she said, like, I don't need a driver's license. I don't want it. Like, I don't need it. And I was first like, okay, well, that makes so much sense why you're always so unbothered to learn and why you're not putting effort in, because you can't see a reason that a driver's license would be good and that you would need one. And I then gave her a list of reasons why you would want one and why you would need one in Ireland as well. Like, if you wouldn't need a driver's license here, then there would be a lot less drivers. You need one, especially when you live in Ireland and everything is driving distance and there's not a lot of public transport. She was like, I'll always find a way to get the places. But it's not that simple, especially not in Ireland. And that's the thing. She always thinks, and this is coming from her childhood as well, that if she doesn't do something and she just gives up on it, then other people will pick up the pieces for her and do it for her, because that's the way it was as a child then. And so she learned that, but now it's not that way anymore, because my parents noticed that's an unhelpful way to teach kids something, and to, you know, or mom anyways, she was like, yeah, she notices now that that was a mistake in the past, that she should have taught Amy how to pick up the pieces herself instead of doing it for her. So Amy learned that giving up is okay because other people will do it for me anyway, and I'm not able to do it. Like, that's her mindset in so many areas. And this unbothered-ness that she has, oh my god, the amount of times she says during the day, like, I'm so bored, I don't know what to do, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do this. It's like, really, that's the way she talks and the way her mindset is, and it's very annoying in many ways, because I'm like, make it enjoyable. Just do something that you enjoy, do something that you like find something you want to do, instead of being like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's like, oh my god. Yeah, I just couldn't believe that she said that she doesn't see a reason that she would want a driver's license. Like, what? I really couldn't believe that. So I gave her a list of reasons, and then she still couldn't see it. She was still like, no, I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't want to practice all this time. Okay, and then I just said, like, bottom line, what I basically said, what my message was to her, was find a reason that you want this, and don't give up trying to find a reason. So every time you think of driving, think of a reason that you would want to be able to drive, that you would want a driver's license. For example, being able to meet your friend, being able to go to Spain by yourself and drive there. What me and Leona did these 6 weeks would not have been possible if I weren't able to drive. None of that would have been possible. So, like, I was like, find a reason that you would want to drive, because then you would want to put in the effort, because the effort is only until you pass the test, and then you can drive if you want to, or you cannot drive for a while until you want to drive and until you need to drive. And then obviously you need to practice so that you get better, you know, like you can't be driving when you're still driving dangerously. But like this effort is all just so she can pass the test, and once she has passed that line, she can do what she wants. So it's only for a limited amount of time, like, the effort. And she just needs to find that drive, like this willingness to learn and to put the effort in, because she doesn't see a reason. She just thinks it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, a driver's license is a waste. Yeah, she kind of believes she's not able to, I guess, or whatever. But then you need to keep doing it to prove to yourself you are able to. Like, you're getting better. She's getting better, and she sees the progress as well. She's said it to us, and we've pointed it out to her, the progress she has made since the last time, and what she's getting better at, and so on. So it's like, it was so frustrating, because I was like, she does not need to feel the way she's making herself feel. If she would just find a drive, find a reason, find a goal that she wants to drive and she wants to get this driver's license, learning for it will be so much more fun and will feel like she's doing it for something. Right now, she just thinks she's doing something that she has to do, but she doesn't want to. And then I was like, I'm going to be asking you now every day if you found a reason. And if you really can't find a reason, then don't do the driver's license. Then don't do it until you see the consequences that come with that. Until you see reasons that you do want to have the driver's license. So I was like, there's no point in not putting the effort in, but paying all this money for a driver's license that you don't even want. So if you really can't find a reason, then don't do it. And then you have to live with the consequences, because at some point you'll see, shit, I should have done it. I do need it now, or I do want it now, or my parents are not bringing me to places anymore because they're going to Spain, or I don't know, or, you know, for whatever reason, there will be consequences sooner or later, and she will regret it sooner or later. Like, that's pretty obvious. So yeah, I just left it at that then, and she's working today, so I haven't asked her yet, but I will ask her, because I think that will help her with many things in life as well. Anytime she's so unbothered, or she feels so bored, or she doesn't want to do something, this can really teach her to find reasons why she would want to do it, and find a way that she can enjoy it, and that she sees she's doing this for herself, and just to find that drive in life, that like the willingness to do something. She really doesn't have that. Her wish would be to have a rich husband, the rich ass house, and people doing everything for her, and she could just relax and do whatever she wants. But that's not, at the end of the day, gonna fulfill her either, because she gets bored really quickly. So she will want to do things as well. So she needs to find things that she enjoys, and she needs to make these things that she doesn't want to do enjoyable. Like, you can make them enjoyable by setting yourself a goal, or by, I don't know, I love driving because I get to listen to some music while driving as well, for example. Like, that's something to look forward to. I love driving because I love going to new places, seeing new people, and having that independence and being in control of something. Like, you know, like, I don't know, like, I love that. So she needs to find a drive to drive. I don't know, she was in this just vicious cycle of, like, yeah, her mind, and I just saw, like, it really doesn't need to be that way, and she can do something about it. She can feel so much better about it, but instead she's making herself feel this bad by the way she's thinking about it. Like, there's no use, and it's just so much time and effort and money, and I don't want to do it, and there's no use to do it. Like, it's a really unhelpful way to think about it. So find a different way to think about it. Find a different way to view it. There's so many different ways you can view everything in life. So find a more helpful way that will help you achieve what you want and that will help you thrive and live a fulfilling life. That's that, I think. I think this video is going to be ended here. Thank you very much for watching. There's things I'm looking forward to in the future, things I'm hopeful for, and then I still have those moments like yesterday where I'm like not very hopeful for anything and I'm like, oh, my life, what do I do with it? Stuff like that, and like, oh, I need to get out, or I want to get out. Like yesterday, I don't know, my dad, for example, was really not talking kind to anyone, so those days then, you know, that's when I want to like get out and I'm like, I don't want to be at home right now. And then there's other days obviously where I love being at home, and when we're all happy and getting along and joking and stuff like that, that's just, yeah, really lovely. So I just know those are just moments, they don't last forever, and I will at some point live the life I really want to live. And right now I'm just enjoying what I have because I really love so many things that I have right now, and I'm building the life that I want to live. And it takes time and effort, but I have a goal, so I know what it's for. Yeah, okay, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Maybe you guys could see yourself in some of this. Maybe some of this helped you as well. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, don't give up, and until the next time, bye.